All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to This Week in Base Hit. I am your host, Subaz, and as always, I am here with the GOAT, Clone. What's going on this week
How
in
you
Base
doing, man?
Hit? Good.
How you
How you
doing?
doing?
I'm supposed to I started last week. What's going on with you in base hit this week? What's been on your mind?
Well, I think I started last week too because I announced that I won a World Series in Caribbean Club last week. Remember?
Oh yeah, that's right.
But I do want to say that we had an accomplishment in redraft this week that I think is pretty cool. We've been toying around with the idea of how to do an auction, a full league auction draft, and we've done it for like the last 6 seasons. But last night we did it, or 2 nights ago we did it all in one night, 24 rounds in 6 hours while we were all live in Bobcats Lounge on Discord.
Nice.
And it was awesome. Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. And to do an auction draft like that is incredible. But you have to do it live because there's no good way to do it
Yeah.
yet automatedly.
Six hours.
But it was 6 hours.
Woo!
Yeah, yeah, it was crazy.
Um,
But we did it, and it was cool. It was cool.
I could do that once a year for fantasy football, maybe.
Yeah, we
Doing
do
it
it
once a
every
season's
we do
crazy.
it every
Yeah.
month. Yeah. But
Um,
well, but we had to make improvements because like the first time we did it, it was 3 nights of 2 to 3 hours a night. And like that's it stops being fun at that point.
that adds up to, yeah. So
So
how
what,
fast
you're
is
doing
that per
4 rounds an
round? Or
hour? 4 rounds an hour? Yeah.
Perry's still emceeing?
Yeah, but you know where we're getting most of our efficiency is through like um that spreadsheet that LQ originally made, then JPEG's iterated on, but then Slick has really taken it to the next level. And we owe a lot to Slick for building out that spreadsheet because that makes it so much easier. And so
How
Perry,
long does it take for per player? Do you know? Is there, you don't have a time
it
limit, you just go, right? Or do
yeah,
you have a
it
time
it
limit?
kind of depends. Initially, it'll take longer when people have more money, but the later you get, the quicker it goes. At the end, it's pretty much if you nominate, you're getting the guy. Um, but initially, we don't do nominations. That helps save us a lot of times. Like the first 40, we just do the first 40 drafted last year, and then the next 40 are the highest overalls. And then after that, we nominate. That's made it a lot easier, so people aren't
Yeah, yeah.
hunting for people.
I need to go back and get the details because at some point it'd
Yeah, it's cool.
be nice to automate, although 6 hours is still gonna be a big ask for people. So when you guys cut it down to
Well, I think a lot of it,
what's the typical fantasy football draft
yeah,
for
like
people?
like an hour and a
Two
half.
hours? Three,
Yeah,
oh, hour
two
and a
hours.
half. Yeah, Jesus.
Yeah, but we could, if we automated it, it would go a lot quicker because part of the reason it takes so long is because we're bullshitting, and we're talking and
Yeah,
having
yeah.
fun and goofing around. So
So as long as you take the fun out, it could be a lot shorter.
yeah.
I've
Well,
talked about before, and I don't know if you guys,
no, we
this
just
is
got to
one of my
automate the
ultimate,
timer. That's what would speed the whole thing up.
got
Sorry,
it.
go ahead. Yeah.
One of my goals, one of the tournament goals or whatever is to do one night tournament with folks. And I
Yep.
have it mapped out somewhere, but the idea that, and it's kind of based off of like Magic the Gathering of, like where everybody pretty much the idea that you open a pack of cards, you take one, you pass them over. So getting 8 guys together and doing it that way, where it's 8 guys, everybody has somebody to choose from. You get them on a clock. I mapped it out to a T at some point, and then you all watch the games get simulated together. And I think that could be done in 2 hours. I think that could be a lot of fun, but you wouldn't know coming in. And I know people like auctions too, but I think just the idea of being able to
Yeah,
choose
just
your own players fun.
doing it live in general is awesome.
Yeah.
'Cause
Um,
we always had fun doing the snake draft and redraft live too. Um,
yeah.
so yeah, yeah, just more ways to play, more ways to play.
Um, I got my kid graduating today, so I've got the
Yeah, congrats.
nostalgia thing going on.
For
And he
those,
was Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, for those of you watching, first time I met Russ in person was in Wisconsin Dells, where I was working. And how old was your kid then?
He was 1.
1 year old, and now he's graduating from high school.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy.
Found out that we were pregnant. Is that the common? Is that a woke term? We were pregnant like a couple months after I started TCL
with Henry.
So that tells how
Charlie. Yeah,
Charlie. That tells you how long it's been around.
Yep.
And then just looking, and that gets me nostalgic thinking about how long the league's been going. And then we were talking. You wanted to. I'm going to spoil the fact that you thought you might have more games played than anybody in history.
I did. I was sure of it because I have so many teams. I've been around since 2004, like 16. I was sure of it, and I just wanted that to be a fact. And you decided to make that not a fact really quick.
I wanted to prove it for you.
23.
23rd. And
I wasn't even close. And the worst part is, you know who 22 is? Pimp.
But I didn't get the win till.
There's a lot of guys that surprised me that were way ahead. A lot of guys that are I mean, a lot.
We should do a shout out just in case any of these people listen. Pimp number 22, all-time games played. Balmers
right above him. Yeah.
Balmers did it fast because I feel like he was around.
I was surprised
a bit later than us, but
yeah.
Arizona Cats. I know he's been in some of the TOCs. He's good. Baruxa, that was one of the original owners. Big Stiv,
yeah.
Extreme 333.
Extreme's
WFN.
Always been in a lot of leagues. WFN's in a lot of leagues too. Yeah.
He's TOC guy. Matthias is up there. Sabino. Super Big Red. This guy Ripken 08. 380,000 games.
That's
and yours
crazy.
was, so I'm sorry to disappoint you. So you had
200,000?
Yep, 190,000.
Yeah.
What do you remember from that first? What was your first? Well, you had a Greek. Did you say TCL was your next one after that?
Yeah, I was in a Greek league for like 2 months and then TCL. Yeah.
What do you remember from like how you played back then? What did you not know?
Oh, I didn't
when
know
you were
a
a starter.
lot. Yeah, I didn't know a lot. Man, I didn't know a lot.
Were you not good?
It wasn't until TCL was started in 1981, like most of the leagues back then, and I won my first World Series in 2005. So I got good pretty quick, but that whole year I went from complete novice to being able to win a World Series in the most active league.
What was it? Just
copying you
and learning? Yeah, copy it.
It was. I was just like, because you were dominating so hard, I was like, I'm just going to copy him. And then hopefully over time, I figure out why what he's doing is working, because it didn't actually make a lot of sense to me at the time. And the biggest thing I learned was how important a defensive shortstop was. Like, that's how new I was. And I was realizing what you were doing then is I don't think these are secrets anymore, but at the time you had a really good defensive shortstop, and then it was making your pitchers look better. And then you were trading your pitchers.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're building value that way, and then
the pitchers would go and suck on other teams and would be pissed at me.
Think you were magic or cheating somehow, but really it was people hadn't figured out defense yet. That's how long ago this was.
And I learned because I made a trade. I think it was between the first and second year. I made a trade and traded away my shortstop, not realizing it, and then.
And seeing the results of it.
Every single one of my pitchers went up, and it was the realization of like, oh crap, like what did I do? And that changed it for me immediately.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when I first started, like, just because I didn't know anything in the Greek league, I figured glove was more important than anything, and at the time, like now there's actually some value to glove, but back then there was almost none. Um,
Range is so much more important. Glove
yeah.
matters when you're watching on game view and the
Yes.
error comes up at the worst time and like,
Dude, I know
but
that better than anybody.
I,
That 33 glove shortstop, it really doesn't matter in the aggregate of the 160 games, but in the playoffs, he will screw you every time. You will lose a game every time.
every time something like that happens, I'm gonna start paying more attention to glove and I never do.
Yep. Or like
But yeah,
second baseman arm, where he doesn't turn any double plays in Game 6 of the World Series.
that was also, yeah, it's true. Um, the other thing about that back then was trying to find inefficiencies in the market, right? That's the whole
That's
Moneyball.
right.
So
Yep.
people weren't paying as much attention to defense, but now everybody pays attention to it, and you try to go the other way. Um,
It's funny in redraft, that is exactly what's happened multiple times where because you're drafting the whole thing, it goes in waves where like defense becomes important, and then all of a sudden a team with no defense will just dominate because they've gotten a bunch of really cheap BA guys and their
yeah,
offense just has no holes in it.
yeah, and I very much believe in that strategy in all leagues of
Yep.
zigging when everybody else is zagging. Um,
Yep. That's probably the best advice you could possibly give.
I still need to. I'm really enjoying TCL, but the cap is tight, and I need to sit. The next thing I need to learn is money efficiency with players. I haven't
And you know what
really looked at that.
I've noticed that Pimp is really good at, and I'm sure there's a lot of people good at it. I just noticed Pimp's good at it, is being able to predict future salary. And so he always feels like he's like
Oh,
he's living 2 years in the future with his salary because I noticed the guys he trades, but maybe I'm making it up in my head, but it feels like it's for salary
that they're
efficiency's sake.
cheaper than they should be.
No, that the guy that he trades away go
Oh,
up.
oh, oh, oh,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
son of a bitch.
Like he trades them
That
at the
son
right
of a
time.
bitch. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
No, that's ahead of me. I mean, I still feel like I'm relearning the game since I got back there, but yeah, money is tight, and
It's funny, man. It's
about
like that old saying, like there's levels to this game. Like that's true in this too, because like if you go into a pretty inactive league, you don't have to worry about salaries in the future. Like you can just dominate,
yeah,
and then with every level, like it gets a little bit more nuanced what you need to be focused on if you want to be successful. And
it's so much better.
that's
I will. I'm going to say it every week, but hard cap leagues so much better. It's so much more real, uh,
yeah,
and so many more choices to be made. And if you've ever complained about in a soft cap league about free agency not being any good, that's why, because nobody needs to get rid of anybody.
yep.
Um, anyway, I think we're on 15 minutes already, man.
We got to get. I need you to
I
get
know,
the thing back.
I know, I do.
Yeah.
I need to wear one.
Um,
It's good
you
to see
gotta
you,
wear
man.
one like Flavor Flav, like wear it around your
That's
neck.
a good idea. That's a good
Yep,
idea.
we'll do that next week.
All
All
right.
right. Any final thoughts before we let these fine people go?
Nope. Have a good weekend.
All right.
Sorry that I ruined your belief that you were the number one.
I'm 23rd, but by this time in 2032, I'm gonna be fourth. All
All
right.
right.
That's the week in Base Hit. See you next week. Bye.